This video here is going to take you on quite a roller coaster of emotions because I don't really know what to properly classify this as because it's very funny news, it's very depressing news, it's very optimistic news, it's a whole bunch of things, okay? Depends on how you want to look at it, but I'll give you the headlines, interpret it as you will. Effectiveness of 2 of the 3 COVID-19 vaccines used in the United States drops below 50% after 6 months. But I thought they're supposed to be more effective and safer and all the more better than just natural immunity. Oh, okay, cool. But after 6 months, they drop below 50%. Remember when these were getting marketed at the beginning is they were having like 99, 98% efficacy? Cool. 6 months really is a bitch. The effectiveness of 3 COVID-19 vaccines available in the United States has declined in recent months, with protection against infection falling under 50% for 2 of them and after 6 months, according to a new study. Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine dropped to 58% in September from 89.2% effectiveness in March. Oh, okay, cool. So that's the only one that provides over 50% coverage. Cool. The one that might hook you up with a little bit of heart enlargement. That's awesome. If you're a young man or some shit. I don't know. That's just what the studies show. Fucking small dick cuck YouTube. Ugh. Ruin my jokes. During the same time frame, Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine fell to 43.3% from 86.9%. Wow, and Johnson & Johnson... Can you even call that a vaccine at this point? That's hilarious. But their jab declined to 13.1% from 86.4%. Safe and effective. Dr. Stephen Hahn, head of the FDA during the final portion of the Trump administration, said last year that the agency wouldn't authorize COVID-19 vaccines that weren't at least 50% effective against the infection. Now, they are at the beginning. Cool. And then you can hook yourself up with a booster jab that is really good and really effective for 12 days. Again, okay, this is the problem, okay, because they still aren't going to cite the New York Times. Remember, that's where that shit was published, the 12 days gimmick. They'll just tell you that booster shots are the most effective way that we can go ahead and continue to try to stop the pandemic, that you can just end at any time by just saying, hey, take care of yourself and, look after your own health and safety. You can just do that right fucking now, but of course they won't because there's no money in that. So are they going to mandate booster shots off the back of this, even though their efficacy is just about as questionable as the doctors administering this shit? And then is this just another sign that, okay, maybe all of this hysteria, and this is very, very unlikely, all of this hysteria is just unfounded because, it's super effective for a while, and you know what, hey, we're just constantly going to be chasing this dragon of 100% vaccination rate. Like I said, this is going to be a very, very low option. It's more than likely just going to be justification that everybody just needs to get jabbed up every 5 months, probably. Cool. It's not like Biden and Fauci weren't talking about that months ago, but anyways, so some good news. Cool. Like if you want to also take a different alternative, if you want to take another approach out there, Regeneron says antibodies show success in preventing COVID-19 infections. Okay, cool. If that's the route that you want to take in order to protect yourself and secure your own individual health sovereignty, by all means, go for it. Buy all of them, okay? And then just drink it with your morning fucking shake and put it in your coffee if you want. I don't give a shit, okay? It's not something I'm going to partake in because I've already had it. About a year ago at this point. Jesus, we're going to have a little party, okay? We're just going to have the little fucking virus-shaped pinata, and I'm just going to hit it a couple of times with a fucking syringe-shaped bat, and I'll just break open all the fun at the bottom. Little emptied vaccine vials. I think that'll be just a wonderful celebration. And maybe I can point out the exact videos, which ones they were. I kind of have a good idea in my head exactly where it was, but other than just being a little bit more lethargic and just kind of slumped down in my chair a little bit more, and I think the videos were still somewhere around like 10, 12 minutes long for like the week, but outside of that, that was about the worst of it. I still went out there and got my miles and all that kind of fun shit, and I didn't miss a single exercise session. And imagine that. You take good care of yourself, you eat a balanced diet, you properly supplement yourself, you end up all right on the other side of it. Fucking who would have thought that? Yeah, exactly. That's the best way to prevent this stuff. That's the best way to make sure that you get out on the other side of it fine. Because yes, the virus is real, right? Obviously, it doesn't come from 5G towers and it just gestates in your body all that way. No, it doesn't, okay? It's a real fucking thing. I've seen people it affect very, very poorly, almost on the brink of hospitalization, okay? Very close, okay? And then, of course, my different case where it was just kind of fine. And then other people out there that are just completely and utterly asymptomatic. And hey, great on them. That is terrific. If we could figure out what causes an asymptomatic response and what causes, we kind of have a good idea of what causes a very severe case, like inadequate levels of vitamin D, inadequate levels of zinc, and all that other kind of shit, then we'd better know how to approach this. But no, that doesn't sell any vaccines, of course. So why would you want to do any of that kind of studying, right? And then as somebody who in the comment section is very, very diligent of pointing out, how about we just like kind of isolate and analyze all this kind of fun stuff? I'm trying to be vague on purpose because I don't know if already this video has been taken down or not, but I'm just going to continue to report on this because I got nothing to lose, and the next time this channel goes down, it's just going to fucking stay down anyways. I'm tired of losing these fucking appeals. Anyways, enough doomer pilling. Let's get to the good stuff here. So this Regeneron's proving positive, I guess, and maybe because it is just kind of another wing of big pharma, maybe this will be a good sign for people, okay? Monoclonal antibodies have already proven successful in preventing hospitalizations, and people who contract COVID-19 may also serve as protection against COVID-19 infections, according to new data. Interesting. Regeneron said its monoclonal antibody treatment reduced the risk of contracting the disease by 81.6% among uninfected persons. Cool. The data comes from a new phase 3 trial run by the company with the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Oh, you know it's good because it's the AIDS Corporation. Research followed participants in the trial for 8 months. Wow, an actual trial, an actual study that lasts longer than a couple of weeks with like a couple hundred people. The trial already indicated the combination of drugs, Casirivimab, whatever, and Imdemivab, together known as a Regeneron, was successful in preventing infection in a month following administration. The new data suggests the prevention spans for over half a year. That's awesome. Something that might be effective for the half a year and not, you know what, decompose like an old fucking banana peel in the backyard. Those results demonstrate that Regeneron, because it's all in capitals, has the potential to provide long-lasting immunity from SARS-CoV-2 infection as a result particularly important to those who do not respond to COVID-19 vaccines, including people who are immunocompromised. Yeah, and again, if you're allergic to any of that technology that's in the mRNA vaccines, scare quotes where appropriate, then yeah, if you're concerned about this type of stuff and if you wanted to get the vaccine and then your body just wouldn't allow it, this is another option for you, and that's cool. SARS-CoV-2, yes, is another name for the Chinese coronavirus. Some participants who received the antibodies did contract the illness. None were hospitalized due to COVID-19 compared to 6 people in the placebo group, researchers said. All right, that's cool. Some of the participants from both arms of the COVID-19 vaccines in the first month include about 34% of those in the treatment arm. All right. Early results from the trial were reported to the New England Journal of Medicine, but the new results have not yet been published in a peer-reviewed publication. We intend to rapidly share these additional data with regulatory authorities to help those who are most in need of protection from COVID-19. Dr. George Yakonopoulos, President and Chief Scientific Officer at Regeneron. Again, he's also trying to pimp his own product, so you know what, hey, just go ahead and take that with a grain of salt, but it looks like their studies are, you know what, showing some kind of promise, so that's cool, I guess. Drug regulators previously authorized Regeneron's monoclonal antibody treatment, but only to treat people who have already had COVID-19 and are not in the hospital or on a specific set of post-exposure settings. Interesting. Former President Donald Trump, yes, took the drug in late 2020 after testing positive for COVID-19, and then Lincoln Project tried to run a propaganda piece on Twitter, which was just actually kind of hilarious. But then again, they're a bunch of pedophiles. No further comment. Anyways, yeah, so now we're just going to kind of delve into the whole Biden situation. I don't actually know what he thinks, but neither does he. The vaccine mandate is apparently, he's confident that it's going to be upheld. Okay. That's why it was literally not even a day after it was announced was immediately stayed by a Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals out of Texas. Yeah, I'm confident it's going to be upheld. That's where they were granted an immediate injunction. Okay. White House officials over the weekend expressed confidence that the administration's COVID-19 vaccine mandate for private businesses will be upheld after the appeals court temporarily blocked it on Saturday. That's normally always a good sign of things, right? I'm quite confident that when this finally gets fully adjudicated, and not just a temporary order, the validity of this requirement will be upheld. Oh, okay. It's common sense, Chuck. Oh, of course he was talking to fucking Meet the Press. If OSHA can tell people to wear a hard hat on the job, this is not a fair comparison at all whatsoever. A hard hat will actually protect you from something deadly. No further comment. Be careful around chemicals. Again, see previous explanation. It can put in place these simple measures. It's not simple. It's not simple. And you can also take off a hard hat. You can also take off gloves. It's really hard to take out something that the government is mandating that you put inside your body. White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain, a top confidant of President Joe Biden, that's normally what a Chief of Staff does, told Meet the Press, referring to the Occupational Health and Safety Administration. That's cool. Don't really care. But what else does OSHA think? They could remove testing opt-out for private employer COVID-19 vaccine mandate. Yes, they're just going to go ahead and try to get rid of the testing portion of this. Yeah, so right now, oh, you see, it's not a mandate, it's a choice, because there's the opt-out clause where you can just, be forced to wear a mask and take a fucking test every week. There's that option until there isn't. And again, of course, okay, just like it wasn't going to stop with just companies who employ more than 100 people, okay? They were always going to get rid of that because they've always gotten rid of that, okay? It's never enough. They're going for full fucking compliance. And when Joe Biden is just when he's been up for too long, so like 3 hours in a day, he just kind of drifts off occasionally and eventually says the quiet part out loud. And again, a full 100% vaccination rate was always what they wanted, because it's not about your health and safety. It's just about bending the knee. Okay, we need not read any of this because it's just depressing and it doesn't matter. It's going to get struck down anyways, but they have confidence. Cool, nobody else does. And it's especially weird, right? Because the number of Americans in hospital with COVID-19 drops to the lowest numbers in months. Cool. Even though 2021 has killed more people with the China virus after Joe Biden said, I got a plan this time. I guess it was probably fucking wipe everybody out. But when comparing 2021 numbers to 2020 numbers, looks like Trump's plan was a little bit more effective. But hey, whatever. They were still in 2020 counting fucking motorcycle crashes that resulted in deaths as a part of the death toll. But hey, you guys do you. The number of hospital patients in the United States with COVID-19 has dropped consistently in recent weeks. Yeah, pretty much everywhere it has, except for some places have kind of responded one way by being like, oh, okay, cool. I guess that means that we can probably just start to go back to regular life. Or you can be like Canada and it's like, no, we'll just continue to put people in fucking jail. Oh, I'm sorry, just lock them in their house for their own safety. Fuck off. Has dropped consistently in recent weeks, reaching a new low not seen since early August, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Wow, imagine that, throughout the entire country. And you know where the most infections are right now? Yeah, Vermont. That has one of the strongest set of rules and regulations. Ain't that a bitch? ain't that a bitch? On average, an average of 41,162 patients with the COOF were in hospital between October 28th and November 3rd. All right, that's the lowest 7-day average since August 1st. Cool. Hospitalizations with COVID-19 hit a new low of 12,032 in late June, but soon climbed sharply because, Delta, right? Sure. But as cases, hospitalizations, and death fell in many states in recent weeks, we know which states they are. The ones that have, and I quote, Neanderthal thinking. Yeah. Even with an increase in northern and western states, the hospitalization numbers have repeatedly dropped. Northern states and western states, what do they all have in common? I wonder. Hospitalizations are unlikely to rise again soon. No, we need more fear and justification in order to put the boot harder down on your neck. Yeah. And the one thing that Biden campaigned on that enough people were dumb enough to buy, you remember, I got a plan. Cool. It looks like that's really just kind of slipping through his withered old hands because his numbers continue to get even worse. I think I made this point last week at some point or another, where I said, eventually those low 40 numbers in approval ratings, is going to become a very distant memory and something that you're going to be striving to hit closer to certain pivotal points. And it looks like maybe one of those pivotal points is going to be the end of the fucking year. Okay, Biden approval plummets to under 38%. And here's the kicker, as Republicans take commanding 8-point lead in generic midterm ballot. So that just means you could have Democrat A and fucking Republican A together on the same ballot. More people by an 8-point clip are going to just vote red all the way down the fucking ballot. Oh, they will too in places like New York and California, but I'm talking, party affiliation, not just, ideological design. But this doesn't happen. It doesn't fucking happen. It's just the catastrophic failure of the Biden administration and the catastrophic failure of his fucking general practitioner. Can you see this fucking posture? Oh my God. Democrat President Joe Biden's approval rating keeps sinking, now down to 37.8%. Jesus. Of a USA Today poll? Wow. Holy fuck. That sucks. The sharp turn against the sitting president comes as Republicans take a commanding lead in the generic congressional ballot as public sours on Biden's agenda. No, he's the most popular president of all time, 81 million votes, and all that kind of other happy horseshit. A strong majority of 59% disapproves of Biden. No, wow. I don't even think Trump ever hit that fucking level. And these are the same polls that they hate Trump. Absolutely hate him. And these are the sympathetic to Biden polls. Wow, this is just impressively bad. With just 37.8% approving of his job performance and 3.2% undecided, just too chicken shit of saying we don't approve. Biden's support crash, according to USA Today's article accompanying the release of this poll, come in large part because he cratered among the independent votes who delivered him a margin of victory. Sure. Over President Donald Trump 1 year ago. Yeah, I think yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of the ascension of Emperor Biden. I think that was the day it was called, November 7th. I wonder I had such a bitch of a day yesterday. No, I just kid. I don't give a fuck about all this kind of political shit. As soon as we're done with these videos, I'll tell you this, okay? I do my own research. I do my other, I kind of get immersed in the content after this, but I wouldn't give a fuck if the entire world outside of my window fucking exploded, okay? The next time I care about this stuff is when I do research for the next day. I just turn off like that because staying immersed in this shit all the fucking time leads your mind to just absolutely fucking detach from reality. That's why I've been kind of structuring my workload to just be kind of a lot less involved with it lately. I think it's improved overall. Like, I feel like my flow's been getting a lot better, and I can't believe I'm talking about myself now, which I don't really like to do, but just because Biden's just so fucking boring, god damn it. But basically, yeah, just getting out of all of this fucking doom and gloom for like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Definitely been taking Sundays off for a long time, but still have stuff going up because I have a responsibility to put out the best content I can all of the time, but just detaching for long periods of time, and then also just trying to keep my beautiful computer alive, which has just been kind of limping around for the past, I don't know, couple of weeks. And it's just real sad because it's super expensive and I don't really have the funds to fix it. So hopefully it's fixed. I don't know. I'm trying a couple of different things. So, I don't know. But yeah, just kind of detaching from all this type of stuff. Kind of like Joe with his brain and his fucking the rest of his body every once in a while. But we'll get to the rest of these numbers. Like they said, cratering among independent voters, right? Independents by a margin of 7-1 believe Biden has done a worse job than they expected as president. Yeah. Literally, did these people just not know who Joe Biden was before this? Like, they just thought, oh, wow, he looks like my creepy old uncle. I think he'd be a great person to be running the most powerful nation in the world. If anybody's seen his track record, okay, he hasn't done anything of consequence. The only thing that he did pass in his almost 50 years of fucking service was eventually overturned. The 1994 Crime Act, I was the main author on that. Cool, it was overturned, okay? It was literally reversed about a decade later, okay? The Joe has been a monumental fucking failure as a senator, as a vice president. He couldn't even remotely gain any of the authority or any sort of influence with Barack Obama because Barack Obama was just kind of isolated off on his own island and he always kept his information to himself and he had Valerie Jarrett there in order to keep any sort of mean things that anybody would be saying about him out of the White House. And Joe Biden was just out there kind of skinny dipping and accosting a bunch of the Secret Service officials, significant others. If you want to take a look at those stories, they're quite a fucking trip in and of themselves. But no, if you were duped into thinking that Joe Biden was the lesser of two evils, like a bunch of smooth brains out there thought he would be, this is exactly what you deserved, okay? And if we're going to take everything at face value, and I know I do, because I think that Joe Biden totally deserved those 81 million votes to prove that he is the most popular president of all time, you got duped. You got duped. And if we ever do figure out what the fuck went on there, I think a lot fewer people got duped, but hey, then again, this is the guy we got for reasons that'll just forever go unexplained. Nearly half of those surveyed, 46%, say Biden has done worse job as president than they expected. Worse than who? Huh? Exactly. You'd have to invoke his name. Including 16% who vote. Wow. Okay, listen. You interviewed all of those Republicans, sorry. Well, realistically, come on, let's go. All of those independents, and the ones that you interviewed, only 16% of them voted for Joe. Shouldn't that be kind of a big old red flag? Just saying. USA Today's Susan Page and Rick Rown wrote independents by 7-1%. 7-1 margin says he's done worse, not better than they expected. Republicans have a dominant 8-point lead in the looming midterm elections, as well as a 46% of the survey respondents say they will vote Republican, and just 38% said that they will back a Democrat because they like losing all the time and they do it in their everyday life and they just want to be able to be properly represented in the federal government. If the election were today, those surveyed, they would vote for their Republican congressional candidate over the Democratic one, 46-38, an advantage that would bode well for GOP hopes in gaining a majority in the House and the Senate. That's definitely going to happen, but who knows what fortification holds for all of us. Page and Round wrote in the president's first midterm election, the party usually copes this fucking hard. Doubt it. Oh, I'm sorry. Loses ground, and the time the GOP needs to flip just 5 seats in the House. Again, most popular president of all time. Barely made enough gains. Okay, lost seats in the House. Let's not fucking forget that. Barely gained enough. Okay, and needed 2 runoff elections during the craziness that was that little period between the election on November 4th and then the inauguration January 20th, okay? They needed the 2 runoff elections to break their way in Georgia in order to gain that 50-50 de facto majority. But most popular president of all time, never forget that. I know YouTube tells us that he is the most popular president of all time. Nobody's allowed to ever question it. If you do, you're a conspiracy theorist. But holy fuck, where was it? Yes, right. His party usually loses ground and the GOP just needs to flip 5 House seats and 1 Senate seat to claim control. Oh, but there's so many Republicans retiring. in very, very Republican areas. So again, red wave incoming. What's more, former President Donald Trump, a Republican, sort of, now leads Biden in a hypothetical 2024 matchup. Yeah, very hypothetical. Not for the Trump portion of that. I'm just going to think for the Joe, because, oh man, I've always wanted Joe to just continue and finish out his term, because I always wish well for people, and I would love for Joe Biden to be a successful president, okay? Absolutely 100%, because where America goes, the rest of the world goes, okay? At least the Western world. I would love for him to be successful. I would love for gas not to hit a 7-year fucking high, the last time he was in office, by the way. I would love for fewer than 160 fucking ships to be off the coast of Los Angeles. I would love for the economy to be back to normal. I would love for just everything to be back to normal and to be very successful, but unfortunately, that's not the case, okay? And I'm thinking eventually Joe is just going to be used as a scapegoat, because you gotta, you know what, kind of further obfuscate after the decimation that will be the midterms. They just got to offer up something, because I feel like that's going to be historic, because you know what, Joe? Hey, you were a part of one very historic election. Why not make it two and eventually get replaced by Kamala Harris? I think that that's becoming far more likely. Again, I wish you nothing but the best, and I hope that you turn this fucking Titanic around, but you already hit that iceberg, so you just kind of got to make the best of a bad situation, see how many more life rafts we have. Good, there's only 3 fucking years left. This comes as a commanding majority of Americans, yes, including a sizable number of Democrats, hope Biden does not run again in 2024. Nearly 2/3 of Americans, 64%, now say that they don't want Biden to run for a second term in 2024. That includes 28% of Democrats. That party, man. And to be fair, it's both parties, okay? The diehards that are in there. You know what? Hey, if you look at Joe Biden, you think that you see a very avuncular, you see somebody who definitely has all of his wits about him up there at the podium. I don't know when you'd see that, maybe like once a month or something like that with his prepared speeches. But yeah, if you see him up there and you think that he's really spry enough to be running again in 2024, I got a bridge in New York to sell you. Anyways, Vice President Kamala Harris's approval rating is, wow, I haven't seen that in a minute, but 28%, even worse than Biden's. Yeah, because she has the likability of crib death. There is nothing going for that woman except for, oh, she'd be the first female president and the first half Indian president of all time. And it's like, oh yeah, that's historic, but she's terrible, like really terrible. The poll shows that 51% disapprove of the job she's doing. It's really hard to disapprove of what she's doing, because I don't know what she's doing. Nobody knows what she's doing. Is she supposed to be looking after the border? Well, that's a total failure. Okay. But what else? Being creepy and inorganic on camera, constantly breaking out in a creepy, just kind of unsettling cackle every time that she's ever pressed for a answer on a question. Like, she just doesn't do anything other than that and drink all the boxed wine that is kicking around the White House. But other than that, yeah. The survey of 1,000 registered voters with a margin of error of 3.1%, still don't think that really saves you or anything, was conducted November 3rd to the 5th, and that means that this poll was completed in the aftermath of the GOP, the slaughter that happened in Virginia, and you love to see it. The survey was completed as House Democrats, with establishment of Republican help, passed it just in the House, but it still has to get through the Senate. The 1.2 trillion. Sorry, you need to have the proper demonym, whatever, for the amount of money that is going to be wasted. Spent for very good things. A bipartisan infrastructure framework. The BIF plan. Yeah. Can we take that and put it back to the future? You're going to be my wife one day, Nancy. Sending it to the Biden desk for his signature. Yeah, the plan has languished for 87 days since Senate passage. Oh, okay, that one's been passed. Whatever. They were always going to get passed anyways. What the fuck's the point? and barely made it through the House, as Democrats couldn't even marshal a majority of 218 votes, getting just 215 Democrats to support it, and forcing Speaker Nancy Pelosi to rely on 13 House Republicans, and you already know 10 of them, and 3 of them have joined their ranks, and they will summarily be either primaried or hopefully they're retiring to avoid just the embarrassment, because just looking at those lists of the 10 that voted to impeach Trump, you have Kissinger, who just announced that he's going to be retiring because I don't know this Republican Party I'm a part of anymore. Whatever. Go take your fucking speaking gig for Fox News. You bet your ass he's going to be over there. Anthony Gonzalez of Ohio, in the state that voted nearly 10% for Trump in 2020, like the only prominent one that's there and who's gonna get an absolute fucking dick kicking because she has it is Liz Cheney out in Wyoming, and yeah, she's losing in primary polling by like dozens of points. So that one's gonna be embarrassing, and I guess she's gonna try to go out on her shield, or maybe go out if she takes her father fucking grouse hunting. So yeah, numbers are bad. Case numbers are better. They just don't want you to have any sort of faith in the system. But fuck them. We'll be back tomorrow, hopefully with a bunch more fun things. I'd love to talk about the Rittenhouse trial tomorrow, but I don't think anything's going to be quite as explosive as what happened today. But I'm sure it's going to be more fucking dour shit about the coup, and I'm sure Joe Biden will probably do something retarded in the meantime because, hey, he does have to get up and shamble about the White House for at least a couple of hours a day. But with that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.